Part 13. Hong Kong movies, I can see the loyalty value, I am not panicked at all. Author, Ban Wan Ching Buletin Liang. Chapter 121. Brother, Fang Min from the Fang family jumped to his death from the 12th floor. Ding Xie has also been sentenced to death by being decapitated. Zhang Dongzhi lowered his head and said to Li Qing, the boss who was reading the newspaper. This is also the first time an exception has been made since Yang Zhang announced the abolition of the death penalty. Of course, Li Qing's contribution is indispensable here. Li Qing put down the newspaper in his hand. It seemed that things were still proceeding in the planned direction. Some time ago, he also heard about Ding Xie's troubles in prison. Especially when Ding Xie defended himself in court, Li Qing even became an audience. It almost made Li Qing laugh to death. A person like Ding Xie is extremely paranoid and thinks that everyone is sorry for him. Of course, the result cannot be changed, and his self-defense is a joke. Li Qing also had his own considerations about not saving Fang Min, mainly because he was afraid of the butterfly effect, which would prevent him from maximizing his own interests. Well, let's go, it's time to go take a look. Boss, I'm going to. In order to regain Li Qing's favor, Crow has been sticking to Li Qing's side during this period. Basically, whenever Zhang Dongzhi arrests, he rests. Apparently, he was marked with Zhang Dongsu. Well, call me little brother more often. Crow nodded excitedly, this time there was something fun again. At this time, the Fang family was celebrating that their father-killing enemy was sentenced to death. The Fang brothers and sisters walked towards their apartment talking and laughing. Brother, the verdict is finally over this time, and Dad can rest in peace. Fang Ting said with a smile. The mountain weighing on the heads of the Fang brothers and sisters was finally lifted away. All of them had a sense of joy that turned the clouds and saw the moon. Okay, we are going to have a big meal when we go home. I have decided to eat seafood. Fang Ting and Fang Fang clapped their hands happily. Bang! The apartment door was suddenly knocked open. Some gangsters rushed in and picked up the three brothers and sisters without saying a word and dragged them to the rooftop. When they rushed to the rooftop, the boy in front of Zhongqing society was stunned for a moment. Come on, what are you doing? The little leader behind pushed the short mule in front. Big brother. The younger brother's face instantly turned pale, and his Adam's apple bulged as he looked at the younger leader. You're bigger than your mother, get out of the way. The little boss pushed the younger brother in front of him away and strode up. As soon as he passed the door, he saw a black gun pointed at him. Crow held a large caliber shotgun in his hand, and missed the little boss's face by a few centimeters. Big brother, we have something to discuss. His expression was not much different from that of his younger brother just now. The younger brother behind him saw that the situation was not right and planned to run away, but was blocked by Li Qing's younger brother at the entrance of the stairs. He looked at the people on the other side holding guns, but he was barehanded, not even a knife. The younger brother from the Zhongqing club decisively gave in. They were escorted to the rooftop one by Li Qing's younger brothers. The three Fang Zanbo brothers and sisters were stunned when they saw the scene in front of them. They thought they were going to die today, but they didn't expect this drama to happen. Big brother, thank you for saving us. Although Fang Zanbo was a little cautious, he still stepped forward to greet Li Qing. Li Qing looked at the dark-skinned young man in front of him and smiled slightly. Are you Fang Zanbo? Do you know me? Fang Zanbo asked curiously. Fang Ting on the side also looked at Li Qing curiously. She had talked with Ding Xiaoxi, and of course she knew that the Zhongqing society was quite powerful. The eldest brother in front of her was very young, how could she dare to provoke Ding Xiaoxi? Of course, Fang Zanbo is the disciple of Hong Kong stock god Ye Tian and the son of Fang Jingxin, the stock tycoon in the 1970s. Li Qing named them without any hesitation. Do you know my master? Fang Zanbo couldn't figure out why Li Qing risked offending the Zhongqing society to save them. Li Qing shook his head and then walked up to the young leader of the Zhongqing society. Did Ding Xiaoxi ask you to come? The little boss swallowed, his legs and feet were trembling a little. He couldn't stand being pointed at by such a large caliber shotgun. This was the first time in his life. Seeing his slow reaction, Crow kicked him. What did my elder brother ask you? Didn't you hear? Brother, Ding Xiaoxi asked us to come here. It's none of our business. The little boss was kicked by the crow and was painfully kicked, so he quickly spoke out. Ah, my eldest brother, you still dare to call me eldest brother, you are seeking death. After saying that, the crow planned to step forward and kick him a few more times. Sir, it was Ding Xiaoxi who asked us to kill the 3 Fang brothers and sisters. We were just following orders. The little boss looked at Li Qing pleadingly with a sad face. Li Qing turned to look at the Fang brothers and sisters. Did you hear that? I'm here to kill you. Throw it away. The younger brother of Zhongqing society was thrown from the rooftop by the younger brother of New World, like a dumpling. You go down on your own, or I shoot you to death. If you think about it, if I shoot you down, you won't be dead. Originally, the little boss was so scared when he saw his little brothers being thrown away one by one. When I heard Crow's words again, I was scared to death. The Fang brothers and sisters couldn't bear to look at this cruel scene, and they were also a little afraid of Li Qing. Seeing Wu Wu instructing his brothers to throw away the last little boss, Li Qing said softly, in this world, if you don't want to be bullied, you have to be more ruthless than others. Fang Zanbo and Fang Fang had no reaction after hearing this, as if they were frightened. However, after listening to Li Qing's words, Fang Ting's eyes flickered, thoughtfully. Okay, now we can talk. My name is Li Qing. Fang Zanbo and the other 2 had never heard of Li Qing's name, but they still smiled at him reluctantly. Brother, what do you want to talk about? Fang Zanbo was a man after all, and he asked with fear in his heart. My name is Li Qing, and I want to invite you to work in my company. Li Qing said straight to the point. This time, Li Qing's goal was to recruit Fang Zanbo into the new world. After all, the stall was big and needed such specialized talents. Fang Zanbo was stunned for a moment when he heard it, and pointed at himself in disbelief. Me? Li Qing nodded. Hurry up and agree to it. I advise you not to be ungrateful. My boss rarely shows such courtesy. Crow stood by, holding a gun in one hand, and shook his side bangs and said. The Fang brothers and sisters were a little scared when they heard it, and they took a half step back at the same time. Li Qing slapped the crow on the head. If you don't speak, no one will think you are dumb. The crow looked at Li Qing aggrievedly and muttered softly, you can't hit the head. Fang Zanbo pursed his lips tightly and said nothing. Fang Ting looked at Li Qing, then at Fang Zanbo, and gently tugged at Fang Zanbo's sleeve. Fang Zanbo shook his head. Brother Li Qing, I will return the favor today to you, and I will not join the club. After he said this, the younger brothers of the New World tightened their guns in their hands. The atmosphere suddenly became solemn, and Fang Fang's thighs trembled with fear. Haha, good. It turns out that you are the son of a stock tycoon, you have guts. Li Qing suddenly laughed. Haha, don't be so determined, maybe one day you will change your mind. After that, he patted Fang Zanbo on the shoulder. Watching Li Qing and others walk down the rooftop, the 3 of them sat limply on the ground. Especially Fang Zanbo's clothes were soaked on the back, and there was a moment when he wanted to agree, but looked at his sister. He didn't want people to say that Fang Jinxen's son was a gangster. Hong Kong movies, I can see the loyalty value, I am not panicked at all. Author, Ban Wanqing Buletin Liang. Chapter 122. Fang Ting, who was sitting on the ground, had a solemn look on her face. Brother, was your refusal too hasty? Fang Ting is considered the most outstanding of the three girls in the Fang family. She entered society early to earn money to support her family. His knowledge is higher than others. Just look at the big boss named Li Qing, who just killed several people from the Zhongqing society with just one sentence, without any fear of police investigation or retaliation from the Zhongqing society. It shows that his background is not ordinary. Hearing his little sister's words, Fang Zanbo was stunned. "Little sister, have you forgotten what Dad taught us? Our Fang family can be poor, but we can't do anything harmful to nature." Fang Zanbo's convenience was exactly the same as Fang Jingxin's. If Fang Jingxin hadn't been too stubborn, the dignified stock tycoon would not have died unexpectedly. When Fang Ting heard Fang Zanbo's words, she lowered her head and said nothing. She didn't know if Li Qing would help them a second time. "If the four crabs of the Ding family come again, I'm afraid." Fang Ting bit her lower lip hard, not knowing what she was thinking. Li Qing led the boys down to the public rental building. "Brother, this Fang Zanbo is a bit ignorant of praise. How about?" Crow followed behind Li Qing and asked in a low voice. "Indeed, when my eldest brother recruits people, he is rarely rejected." Li Qing shook his head. "People, you don't know how to surrender until you feel pain from falling." He didn't take Fang Zanbo's rejection to heart. After all, Fang Zanbo is not the only stock god in Xiangjiang. He knows the general trend, so why worry about not making money? Leave him alone and keep an eye on the Ding family, especially Ding Xia. Li Qing ordered his younger brother. "Brother, isn't Ding Xia in jail?" Crow looked at his boss curiously and scratched his head. Li Qing smiled mysteriously. "He will come out." Crow shook his head in disbelief. "Impossible. Xiangjiang's first exceptional execution by ring beheading would be so anticlimactic. He thinks his boss is talking nonsense." Seeing the strange look in Crow's eyes, Li Qing was so angry that he slapped him on the head. "If you don't know how to use your brain, don't do it. What the hell are you thinking about?" Zhongqing Society. The four members of the Ding family sat together with expressionless brows. They had just learned that something had happened to the little brother they sent out. "All dead?" Ding Xiaoxi asked in disbelief. "They were all thrown from the rooftop, and no one was alive." Ding Yixia nodded with a livid face and lit a cigarette in frustration. "Who did it, and have they been found out?" Ding Xiaoxi also felt that something was unusual. So many people died, but the police were not alerted. This thing was too bizarre. "I can't find out." "Well, some people may know, but they keep it secret when asked about it." Hearing Ding Yixia's reply, Ding Xiaoxia waved his hand. "Forget it, I'll go find out personally." Half an hour later, Ding Xiaoxi arrived at the main entrance of Xinji. Zhongqing Society and Xinji had always had business contacts and had close contact. "Mr. Zhang, please forgive me for my presumptuous visit." Ding Xiaoxi smiled and looked at Zhang Sheng, the speaker of Xinji, across from him. Mr. Zhang picked up a cup of tea, took a sip and asked, "Why is Boss Ding here to visit me this time?" "Money laundering matters are handled by subordinates, and there is not much dialogue between the people involved. Perhaps you also know that our Zhongqing society lost a few people in the public rental housing. I want to find out which boss we offended." Ding Xiaoxi considered it for a moment and continued. Zhang Sheng glanced at Ding Xiaoxi, with a playful expression on his face. Ding Xiaoxi's heart sank slightly when he saw Zhang Sheng's strange expression. "Mr. Zhang, is there something wrong with me?" Zhang Sheng shook his head. "You can only know this news from me. You can't find out about it anywhere else. The person who threw your people off the rooftop is Li Qing, the talker of the New World." Zhang Sheng chuckled and told the truth. Ding Xiaoxi was shocked when he heard this. He never thought it was a New World. "I don't have much contact with the New World, mainly because the New World family has such a great business that I don't need to launder money myself." How could it be? Mr. Li and I have never had any holidays. Ding Xiaoxi looked ugly and stuttered a bit when he spoke. If they were really deliberately targeted by New World, their Zhongqing society really couldn't do anything about it. After all, he was not the only society laundering money. No one will offend the New World because of him. Ding Xiaoxi gritted his teeth and said, "Mr. Zhang." Zhang Shen waved his hand and interrupted him, "I can't help it. I can't suppress Li Cheng." In fact, Zhang Shen really didn't want to intercede for him. After all, Ding Xiaoxi was of little use to him, and it wasn't worth owed Li Cheng a favor for him. Zhang Shen turned the teacup upside down, stood up slowly and walked towards the inner room. Before leaving, he said something to Ding Xiaoxi, who was mourning for his heir. "However, you can ask Helianzhen's sister-in-law, maybe she can talk to her." Zhang Shen pointed out a clear path for Ding Xiaoxi. Ding Xiaoxi returned to Zhongqing Society and asked someone to prepare 1 million Hong Kong dollars, and he came to Helianzhen with the suitcase containing the money. Sister D looked at the open suitcase on the table and said to Ding Xiaoxi, "Tell me, how can I help you?" "Sister, could you please ask Mr. Li from the New World if there is anything he is dissatisfied with in the Zhongqing Society," Ding Xiaoxi said with a smile. "Huh? You are in conflict with the New World?" Sister D frowned. If that were the case, Big D's wife would not care. She knew Li Qing's personality. If she really offended him, unless there was enough benefit, she would dig a hole and bury herself. It would be more comfortable to die. "No, I didn't offend Mr. Li. The purpose of this visit is to trouble you to ask how our Zhongqing Society offended Mr. Li." Ding Xiaoxi waved his hands and said. Big D's wife looked at Ding Xiaoxi and said, "Okay, I can only ask for you. I won't ask about other things." After that, she walked out of the room and started to call Li Cheng. "Hello? Sister-in-law, didn't you just eat dumplings yesterday?" Li Cheng saw that it was Big D's wife's call, and started to tease after answering. "Bah, I'm looking for you because of that," Big D's wife moaned. Li Cheng was stunned. "Isn't it? It seems that there is a war after every call." "Business." Big D's wife rolled her eyes. "Zhongqing Society Ding Xiaoxi came to me and asked me to ask if he had offended you." When Li Cheng heard Ding Xiaoxi's name, he immediately understood. I didn't expect Ding Xiaoxi to be so well informed that he found him in less than a day. By the way, he also took 1 million. If he really offended you, do you want me to take him down? Big D's wife's tone was a little excited. This gave Li Cheng an excuse to come over. A little itchy. Li Cheng smiled when she heard it. "It's okay, tell him I'm just passing by." Since Fang Zanbo refused his recruitment, it would be useless. He wouldn't care about the life and death of the Fang family. The two of them joked a few more times and hung up the phone. Mr. Li said that he just happened to pass by and saw that you were doing too much, so he helped a little. Big D's wife told Ding Xiaoxi the truth. Ding Xiaoxi's face relaxed when he heard it. After thanking Big D's wife profusely, he walked out of Helianzhen. "Just passing by," Ding Xiaoxi muttered softly. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Hong Kong movies, I can see the loyalty value, I am not panicked at all. Author, Ban Wanqing Buletin Liang. Chapter 123. Brother, how is it? The other three brothers of the Ding family looked at Ding Xiaoxi with concern. 2 hours ago, when Ding Xiaoxi came back to get the money, he told the three brothers of the Ding family that the other party was New World. The three brothers have been worried, and Yuxi is even ready to transfer assets. Ding Xiaoxi smiled and said, "It's okay. It seems that the last time the Fang family took to the streets to protest, it caused dissatisfaction from Mr. Li of New World. This is also his guess. After all, the banners held by the Fang family last time made some bigwigs on the road very dissatisfied with the Zhongqing society's approach. Although they are mixed up in the underworld, they still have to save face. What should we do? Yuxa was a little impatient. Ding Xiaoxi pondered for a while and said cautiously, just in case, drive the Fang family out of Hong Kong first. As long as they are out of Hong Kong, no one will care about their life or death. Indeed, as long as the Fang family does not appear in the sight of the police and does not cause trouble for the bigwigs, no one will care about them. It's the only way. I'll go down and make arrangements. Ding Yuxa was already familiar with how to drive these people out of Hong Kong. The three brothers and sisters of the Fang family were eating dinner with Luo Huiling, talking and laughing. During this period, there was no harassment from the younger brother of the Ding family, so they had a few days of peace. But Fang Ting couldn't be happy. She was dazed and unconsciously picked the white rice in the bowl. Fang Ting, what's wrong with you? You've been absent-minded these days, Luo Huiling asked with concern. Fang Ting glanced at Fang Zanbo and shook her head. I always feel that something is wrong. Will the Ding family let us go so easily? Fang Zanbo smiled, showing his big white teeth. Don't think about it. Ding Hai has been sentenced to death. We have avenged our great hatred, so we should be happy. Fang Ting looked at this careless brother and couldn't help blurting out, you are still like this. If it weren't for the boss named Li Qing a few days ago, we would have been thrown off the roof. What? What's going on? Luo Huiling put down her bowl and chopsticks, and her heart was shocked. It turned out that the Fang siblings were afraid that Luo Huiling would worry, so they didn't tell her about this. Fang Ting saw that she couldn't hide it anymore, so she told Luo Huiling the truth directly. Why didn't you tell me earlier? Why did you hide it from me? The big guy you mentioned is called Li Qing. Luo Huiling questioned the Fang siblings. Several people nodded. Luo Huiling drove the bus all day, so she was naturally more informed than the three Fang siblings. As for Li Qing's name, she had heard about it more or less from the passengers. The main reason was that the New World was much better than other clubs, and people didn't shy away from talking about the New World. Luo Huiling was silent for a while, and asked Fang Zanbo, did you refuse Li Qing's recruitment? Fang Zanbo nodded. Society, why would I join it? Luo Huiling stood up and put down the bowl and chopsticks in her hand. Let's go, let's go. What's wrong with you? Let's eat quickly. Fang Zanbo blamed Luo Huiling for her big reaction. Let's go, pack up your things. Luo Huiling pulled Fang Zanbo's arm. Bang! The door of the public housing was kicked open, and a group of hooligans rushed in. They smashed things without any extra movements. After smashing things, they started to beat several people. Fang Zanbo tried his best to protect his sister and Luo Huiling, but his fists rained down on everyone. After a while, the hooligans left. A neighbor had already called the police, and the police were late. Hey, are you okay? Do you want to go to the police station to record your statement? The police's attitude was as bad as ever. This is the attitude of the Hong Kong police towards the poor. Are you kidding me? We were beaten. Why do we have to go to the police station to record our statements? Fang couldn't help but blurt out. These are all procedures. If you want to report a case, hurry up. What time is it now? The police showed a disdainful expression. You delayed my meal. You. Fang was so angry that she was about to step forward and argue with him. Forget it, big brother, we won't call the police. Pulling Fang's sleeve, Fang Zanbo said with a smile on his face. When they heard that they would not call the police, the two policemen turned around and left without hesitation. Fang Ting looked at the police's back coldly, without saying a word. She knew it was useless. These people must have been bribed by the Ding family. In the next few days, the public rental housing where the Fang family lived was splashed with paint, gasoline, and feces one after another. The surrounding neighbors were very dissatisfied. "Oh, this family is so annoying. They offended the underworld and made us suffer together. Yes, really, if you don't leave, it will implicate everyone. That's right, this family makes the whole building uneasy." The Fang family was filled with complaints from the neighbors, and they had to smile one by one. At night, while everyone was sleeping, they cleared the gasoline and painted the walls in the corridor. "Brother, why don't you agree to that, Boss Li?" Fang Fang couldn't help but blurt out. Fang Zanbo's face was livid, and he did feel a little regretful. Fang Ting glanced at Fang Zanbo, and pulled Fang Fang aside to comfort her. Hearing Fang Fang's crying, Fang Ting secretly clenched her fists. She knew that the Ding family would not let them go, and would always kill them all. Now there was only one person who could save them. The next day, Fang Ting came to Mongkok alone. After asking around, she came to the New World Group building. "Excuse me, is Mr. Li Qing here?" Fang Ting asked the good-looking receptionist. "Who are you? Do you have an appointment?" the receptionist asked politely. Fang Ting shook her head. She really didn't know Li Qing's contact information. "I'm sorry, our chairman is very busy and may not have time. I hope you can be flexible. I have something important to talk to him about." "I'm sorry, if there is no appointment, I can't do anything." The receptionist shook her head and rejected Fang Ting's request. But Fang Ting herself has a tenacity, otherwise she would not have become a stock manager without finishing her studies. She didn't say anything, just stood next to the receptionist. Until 2 hours later, the receptionist said helplessly, "Mr. Li usually comes out around 11:30 in the afternoon." Fang Ting was overjoyed when she heard the voice, and immediately stood not far from the elevator, staring at the elevator motionlessly. Seeing this, the receptionist shook her head and sighed. Hong Sheng had already prepared the meal. Li Qing, who had been busy all morning, looked at his watch. "Let's go, Dongziu. Go home for dinner, your sister-in-law made soup today." Zhang Dongziu immediately responded and took up his coat to put on Li Qing. The two walked out of the elevator at the same time. "Mr. Li, please save us," a pleasant female voice came, which made Li Qing stunned. Turning his head to look in the direction of the voice, Fang Ting was kneeling behind him. "Are you Fang Zanbo's sister?" "Hong Kong movies, I can see the loyalty value, I am not panicked at all." Author, Ban Wanqing Buletin Liang. Chapter 124. "Yes, please, please save our whole family." Fang Ting kept knocking her head on the ground. Li Qing was silent for a moment, and the whole hall could only hear Fang Ting's dong dong dong. "Kowtow. Get up, go to my office, and tell us what's going on," Li Qing said, looking at Fang Ting, whose forehead was already bruised. Fang Ting was delighted when she heard this and quickly stood up and followed Li Qing into the elevator. 2 minutes later, Li Qing sat in a chair and looked at Fang Ting, listening to what Fang Ting had to say. "Why should I save you? You are of no use to me." Li Qing looked at Fang Ting, who kept pleading, and said, "Mr. Li, don't worry, I will persuade my brother. He is very good at stock trading. Didn't you recruit him last time?" "But he refused." "I gave him a chance, but I won't give him a second time," Li Qing said coldly. Fang Ting was speechless. In fact, she was not sure whether she could persuade Fang Zanbo. "Mr. Li." Fang Ting bit her lower lip, as if she had made a decision. "Can I talk to you alone?" Li Qing glanced at Zhang Dongziu, who nodded knowingly, walked out, and closed the door thoughtfully. "Say it." Fang Ting started to take off her clothes without saying a word. "I give myself to you, please save our whole family. This is my first time." As Fang Ting wore fewer and fewer clothes, her fair skin was exposed to the air, and some goosebumps appeared due to sensitivity. Li Qing looked at Fang Ting's graceful figure and remained unmoved. "As far as I know, You and Ding Xiaoxi have been friends for the first time. Really, we didn't do anything like that. When Fang Ting heard this, she felt anxious and waved her hands repeatedly. However, she forgot that she was covering her chest with one hand and her lower part with the other. Yeah, he covered his hands again. Haha, do you think I lack women? Li Qing would be lying if he didn't have any reaction. But he is not a stallion, and he will not lose his own interests just for a woman. Fang Ting's face gradually turned pale. She had no leverage except her own body. Put your clothes on. Although Li Qing wanted to capture this woman, now was not the time. The melon was not sweet, and doing such a thing under such circumstances was no different from a piece of dead meat. Fang Ting slowly picked up the clothes on the ground in despair and put them back on one by one. Li Qing almost couldn't hold it back. As long as you promise me one thing, I will help you. Li Qing's words brought Fang Ting back to heaven from hell. Anything, as long as I can do it, Fang Ting said eagerly. It's not time yet, I'll tell you when the time comes. Okay, let's go, I'll let someone arrange everything. Li Qing walked out of the office first. Zhang Dongzhou saw Li Qing coming out with a look of surprise in his eyes. Brother, time is so short this time. Dongzhou, please arrange for Xiaoting to let them live in my unused villa first. Zhang Dongzhou nodded quickly and glanced at Fang Ting, whose clothes were messy behind Li Qing. This sister-in-law is not simple. Obviously, Zhang Dongzhou misunderstood something. Li Qing went home to eat, while Zhang Dongzhou and Fang Ting came to the public rental housing. Zhang Dongzhou looked at the dilapidated public rental housing and grinned. Sorry, this is your first time in public rental housing, Fang Ting said in embarrassment. The tall and round Zhang Dongzhou stood in the corridor, feeling a little aggrieved. Bang! Zhang Dongzhou was hit by the doorframe. Are you okay? Fang Ting asked with concern. It's okay, sister-in-law. Hearing Zhang Dongzhou's name, Fang Ting instantly blushed, opened and closed her lips, but still didn't say anything. The Fang family were shocked when they saw Zhang Dongzhou walking through the door. They had never seen such a burly person before. This is my friend. My friend wants us to stay at his place for a few days. Fang Ting explained quickly. Zhang Dongzhou's face changed slightly when he heard this. What does this little sister-in-law want to do? She wants to kill me. Ahem, no, you are my eldest brother's friend. Zhang Dongzhou was afraid that Fang's family would misunderstand. Luo Huiling stood up and looked Zhang Dongzhou up and down. Xiaoting, is this really your friend? Fang Ting didn't say anything but nodded. Let's move out of here first. I don't know when the Ding family and his son will come back. Although Fang Zanbo was suspicious, Fang kept urging her. Now she just wanted to leave here quickly. There is nothing valuable, and I am not afraid of thieves. The group of people brought some daily necessities, locked the door and followed Zhang Dongzhou out of the public rental house. Fang Zanbo saw the Mercedes-Benz parked downstairs and felt that things were not as simple as Fang Ting said. But it was too late to think too much. Several gangsters carrying paint buckets appeared in the direction of the street. Several people quickly got into the car, and Zhang Dongzhou drove directly towards the villa without explaining anything. More than an hour later, the Fang family got out of the car and saw the luxurious villa. Fang Zanbo frowned and pulled Fang Ting aside. What happened? Who is your friend? What did you do? Fang Ting looked at Fang Zanbo solemnly. He is a friend of mine who decided to help us and let us live here temporarily. If you had promised Mr. Li Qing, we wouldn't be in such a mess. Facing her brother's questioning, Fang Ting couldn't help but burst out. In the past, Zanbo failed to live up to expectations, like mud. Now, in order to abide by his father's words, he actually put his family in danger. What do you know? That's the underworld. We have been harmed so badly by the underworld, and you still want me to join them? Fang Zanbo still insisted on his opinion. Brother, This society is not black and white. There are also good people in the underworld. Look at those policemen. Are they good people? Our Fang family is so miserable, why don't they care about us? Fang Ting roared loudly towards Fang Zanbo. She was completely disappointed with Fang Zanbo. With no power and no money, how could she fight against the Ding family? I want to leave here, can you leave? Fang Zanbo said nothing more. He was already convinced that his sister must be hooking up with a certain big boss. The rest of the Fang family were silent. This was the only place they could avoid the Ding family. They didn't want to live a precarious life. Luo Huiling looked around the villa and stood in front of Fang Zanbo. This is a safe place. I think it's better for Fang Ting and Fang Fang to live here temporarily. Fang Zanbo still stared at Fang Ting. Are you leaving or not? I'm not leaving, Fang Ting said firmly with tears streaming down her face. Shameless, Fang Zanbo waved his hand and was about to hit Fang Ting. But Zhang Dongzhi caught him in mid-air. If you reach out again, I'll beat you to death. Then with a gentle push, Fang Zanbo fell to the lawn. Looking at the indifferent people, he felt betrayed, stood up angrily, and walked straight towards the door of the villa. Zhanbo Luo Huiling was worried about Fang Zanbo and chased him out. Only Fang Ting and Fang Fang were left hugging each other and crying bitterly. Hong Kong movies, I can see the loyalty value, I am not panicked at all. Author, Ban Wanqing Buletin Liang. Chapter 125. During this period, the four crabs of the Ding family did not give up looking for the Fang family, but the strange thing was that they could not find any trace of the Fang family. A sudden incident made the four crabs temporarily abandon the idea of seeking revenge on the Fang family. Brother, have you heard? The Queen has pardoned Dad, and his crime has been changed to life imprisonment. Ding Yuxi ran into Ding Xiaoxi's office excitedly with a newspaper in his hand. I just saw it too. Ding Xiaoxi also held a newspaper, and couldn't help but sigh. His father was really lucky, and he could survive in such a desperate situation. Brother, what are you thinking about? Ding Yuxi looked at Ding Xiaoxi in deep thought and asked curiously. Ding Xiaoxi pinched his eyebrows. Life imprisonment, I'm thinking about how to get Dad out. Have you thought of it? There is only one way, medical parole. Ding Yuxi heard this, touched his chin and thought for a moment. Dad is as strong as a bull in prison, and I heard that he had a fight a few days ago. Don't worry about this matter, I'll arrange it. Ding Xiaoxi looked at Ding Yuxi with a frown on his face. A few days later, Ding Hai applied for medical parole on the grounds of cancer. The court approved his request for humanitarian considerations. So Ding Hai walked out of the prison openly. Brother, Ding Hai is out of prison. Zhang Qiandan came to report immediately after receiving the news that Ding Hai was released from prison. Oh, really? Li Qing was also excited when he heard it. He felt that Ding Hai's luck was magical in his previous life. Is there really such a thing as a son of luck in this world? Keep watching him 24 hours a day, especially if he goes to gamble on horses, or buy stocks, buy real estate, etc., report everything to me. Zhang Qiandan was very puzzled. Why did his boss pay attention to such an insignificant little person? According to the boss's style, shouldn't these little bastards of the Ding family have been buried in the sea long ago? Okay, brother. Zhang Qiandan walked out immediately and told his younger brothers to do things. Zhang Dongzhi hurried in and whispered in Li Qing's ear, Brother, Xiaoxio's sister-in-law is here. Li Qing glared at Zhang Dongzhi. What the hell? Where do I get so many women? It's Fang Ting from Qianwan Villa, Zhang Dongzhi whispered. In fact, he was also wondering, his boss hasn't been to Qianwan Villa for a while, it's impossible not to use the golden house to hide a beauty, right? Let her in. Li Qing did forget about Fang Ting, mainly because it's not the right time yet. Fang Ting walked in openly, looking much more confident than last time. Mr. Li, she greeted coquettishly. What do you want to see me for? In fact, she lived very comfortably in Li Qing's villa during this period, especially without worrying about the harassment of the Ding family. Li Qing's arrangement was also very good, with fruits, vegetables and meat. She and Fang Fang both gained a few pounds. I saw in the newspaper that Ding Hai was released from prison. Fang Ting was a little bit unbelievable when she first saw the news. Yeah, Li Qing nodded. Plop, Fang Ting fell to her knees again. Please avenge me, Mr. Li. Fang Ting's voice was more determined than last time. This time, Ding Hai was released from prison, which made her realize that without money and power, this world would never let people like Ding Hai be punished. Li Qing lit a cigarette, took a deep breath, and said nothing. Zhang Dongzhi glanced at Li Qing, walked out of the office with a look, and closed the door. I know that I am not worthy of Mr. Li, but I have decided that I will be yours for the rest of my life. Please avenge me, sir. Fang Ting's head rested on the floor, and her hips hooked up an attractive curve. I will help you avenge, but now is not the time, wait a little longer. Li Qing once again rejected Fang Ting's request. Ding Hai is still useful, and Li Qing still needs to dig out the treasure in him. You go back first, I will do what I promised you. Fang Ting stood up with a look of surprise on her face. She understood that Li Qing meant to accept her. It's nothing more than waiting for a while. She stood up boldly, walked to Li Qing's side, kissed him hard on the lips, and ran out of the office. Li Qing looked at her beautiful back and gently touched his lips. Haha, you are quite bold. From the last time Fang Ting dared to come to the new world to find him alone, he could see that this little girl was ruthless and smart. Zhang Dongzhi was standing at the door board, and suddenly saw Fang Ting with a ruddy face open the door and ran out. So fast. Zhang Dongzhi couldn't imagine it. He was wondering if the man inside was still his big brother who had sex 7 times a night. Fang Ting was even more embarrassed when she heard Zhang Dongzhi's words. She glared at Zhang Dongzhi and walked away quickly. Zhang Dongzhi scratched his head and walked into the office, slowly coming to Li Qing's side. That, big brother. Li Qing looked up at Zhang Dongzhi when he heard the words. This stuttering tone is usually used by Crow when he asks for something. Zhang Dongzhi is usually the kind of person who doesn't say a word. Well? If you have something to say, just say it. Zhang Dongzhi organized his words. I heard that the pharmacy has recently received a new batch of Tonggrentang Liu Wei Daihuang pills. I'll bring some for you as well. Get lost, do I need it? Zhang Dongzhi heard Li Qing's words and had a question in his mind. Don't you need it? Forget it, I bought a few more boxes and secretly put them in my eldest brother's drawer. Hee, I am the most caring little brother, and the crow can never shake my position. Zhang Dongzhi thought about his plan. In the following days, Li Qing lived an extremely comfortable life, constantly tossing back and forth between South Korea, Hejiang, and Xiangjiang. Brother, Ding Xie has started betting on horses. Zhang Qiandan followed Li Qing's instructions and quietly arranged nail in Ding Xie, who always carried a bug with him. Hearing that Ding Xie was betting on horses, he quickly came to report. Li Qing regained his energy and followed Zhang Qiandan to the room with the eavesdropping equipment. Next to him, Zhang Dongzhi was also waiting with his phone in hand. Li Qing had just told him to be ready to bet on horse racing at any time. Ding Xie's voice came from the eavesdropping equipment. That Hao said that number 7 will definitely win, so I'll bet 10 yuan first to have fun. After Li Qing heard this, he smiled and said, Dongzhi, beat the number 7 horse, 100,000. Brother, number 7 pays out 80% or it's a huge upset. Zhang Qiandan hesitated and explained from the side. He often bets on horses when he has nothing to do, and he knows the horses in the competition very well. It's okay, just buy it for 100,000 yuan and have fun. Zhang Dongzhi called immediately, number 7, 200,000. Li Qing and Zhang Qiandan turned to look at Zhang Dongzhi at the same time, only to see him scratching his head. Haha, I am short of money recently, so I am following the boss for fun. After John Candon heard this, he moved his lips but said nothing. Time passed by, and several people watched the horse betting on TV. The result was that horse number 7 won alone. Zhang Dongzhou screamed with excitement. He invested 100,000 yuan and made 7.9 million yuan. He couldn't print money so fast. Zhang Candon looked at the excited Zhang Dongzhou and felt extremely regretful. He slapped himself hard and said, how can I be so reserved? Li Qing smiled and said, don't be impatient. Take your time later, but don't do too much. Doing too much will attract the attention of others. Li Qing only had information about Ding Xie. If he bet too much, the big guys behind the racecourse would be aware of it, which would be detrimental to subsequent actions. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Hong Kong movies, I can see the loyalty value, I am not panicked at all. Author, Ban Wanqing Buletin Liang. Chapter 126. Then, the eavesdropping device heard Ding Hai want to buy number 5. Zhang Candon hesitated. Brother, number 5 is a runner-up, a sick horse with injuries. Li Qing smiled mysteriously and said nothing. Number 5 horse, 200,000. Zhang Dongzhou looked at Zhang Candon. Zhang Candon didn't care much about this little money, mainly because number 5 horse was really a sick horse. Well, I'll bet 10,000 to try. 200,000, 110,000. 5 minutes later, listening to Zhang Dongzhou's cheers, the result was self-evident, and number 5 horse won again, this time with odds of 1 to 100. Zhang Dongzhou made another 9 million, and Zhang Candon silently slapped his right hand, regretting that he didn't trust the boss. Next, Li Qing followed Ding Hai and others to win again and again, and it didn't take long for him to make tens of millions. Of course, this is still a small amount of money, and the most important thing is in the days to come. Brother, Ding Hai wants to buy a piece of muddy beach. Brother, Ding Hai wants to contract a sand field. Brother, Ding Hai wants to build a shopping mall. Brother. The father and son of the Ding family sat at home and sighed. What, the parking lot we wanted to contract has been contracted by someone else first. Ding Xiaohe threw his phone down in a rage. Ding Hai stared at the ceiling with lifeless eyes, and even his hair was thinner. If he had bad luck, he would win every time he bet on horses. If he had good luck, he would be preempted every time he did some business. I feel like I'm living in someone's shadow, Ding Hai said with lifeless eyes. During this period, the Ding family made a lot of money in gambling thanks to Ding Hai, but they were repeatedly cut off in other areas. They couldn't afford to offend the cut-off people, either New World or Helian Sheng, and even Dongxing sometimes got involved. It's really weird, are we not suitable for these things? Ding Yuhei slapped the table angrily. Ding Hai's eyes lit up when he heard it. Yes, it's not suitable. It seems that God wants me to focus on making money in finance. So, let's buy stocks. The 4 crabs of the Ding family looked at each other. Dad, don't make trouble. We can't play stocks. Of course, the brothers knew that stocks can make money, but they are all financial tycoons. Ordinary people who enter the stock market are just leaks to be cut. They didn't go crazy with Ding Hai, and returned to their rooms listlessly. Ding Hai still didn't give up. No, I can make 26 million by betting on horses, and I can make more by buying stocks. Ding Hai entered the Hong Kong Stock Exchange alone despite his son's opposition. Li Qing also received the message, he buys that stock, we buy that. It was also Ding Hai's luck. Whichever stock he bought, that stock would rise sharply. It really felt like a random punch to kill a master. In a short period of time, he made more than 200 million in the stock market. Looking at the numbers in the account, the 4 crabs of the Ding family also believed what their father said and established the 5 crabs group, intending to go public. 5 crabs group, Li Qing smiled and read the name of the company established by the Ding family. 5 crabs. Whoopsie. Sure enough, luck is on him. Just a random name will secretly match his fortune. Brother, should we? John Candon has been drinking a lot of soup with Li Qing during this period. It's not time yet, let the stock market go crazy for a while. Li Qing shook his head. It's not time for him to enter the market yet. Although John Candon didn't understand what the boss said, he still nodded. Since last time, he has 100% trust in his boss's decision. Sure enough, it was still the same historical trend. The 5 crabs group suffered setbacks after entering the stock market. From the opening price of 2 yuan, it was quickly artificially lowered, and instantly fell by 2 cents, and then fell all the way. 5 crabs also began to buy their own stocks in a big way, trying to pull up their own stocks. In this way, a tug of war unfolded, up and down between 2 yuan. Li Qing looked at the ups and downs of the 5 crabs stocks and smiled. It seemed that Fang Zanbo had already made a move. He just had to wait and reap the benefits. In this way, one side tried hard to raise the stock price, while the other side tried hard to short the stock price. The 5 crabs of the Ding family did not understand stock operations at all, and Fang Zanbo took away a lot of money during this period. Ding Hai also realized that something was wrong, but he knew nothing about stocks and could not think of any good solution for a while. Tomorrow, I will definitely go to ask a stock tycoon tomorrow. The next day, Ding Hai ignored the advice of the 4 crabs of the Ding family and drove towards the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. After entering the Hong Kong Stock Exchange, he asked everyone who was the stock tycoon. A group of people looked at this outsider in a suit and taunted him, "Well, don't say we didn't tell you. There are many people who can be called stock tycoons, but there are very few stock tycoons. One is Fang Jingxin, a stock tycoon from more than 10 years ago, one is Ye Tian, the first generation of Hong Kong stock god, and the other is Chen Wangxian, the founder of the Chinese Stock Exchange." When Ding Hai heard Fang Jingxin's name, his expression was a little unnatural. The other party continued, "One of them died, one went crazy, and the last one went to prison. It's time for him to be released." After hearing this, Ding Hai showed a look of surprise on his face, and hurried home to ask Ding Xiaohe to find out the time when Chen Wangxian would be released from prison. Ding Xiaohe was pestered by him and had no choice but to find someone to find out the time and tell Ding Hai. On this day, Ding Xie was waiting at the prison gate early. "Brother Xian, hello, my name is Ding Xie." Chen Wangxian pushed up his glasses and looked disdainfully at the lucky nouveau riche in front of him. Of course he knew this person. With good luck during this period, he actually allowed a group of bad guys to establish a listed company. "Well, is something wrong? If nothing happens, please get out of the way." Ding Xie didn't care about Chen Wangxian's attitude. "Haha, brother Xian, I want to ask you how to trade stocks. Our Wuxie group has suffered a lot of losses recently." Chen Wangxian didn't even look at Ding Xie, he got in the car and left. Ding Xie was not willing to keep chasing after him, and even stopped Chen Wangxian's car at a fork in the road. Chen Wangxian was so entangled by this dogskin plaster that he had no choice but to say blindly, "You are so lucky now. Stocks are being traded with others. When everyone is buying down, you must buy up. Only then can you make a fortune." Finally, Chen Wangxian said mysteriously, "Everyone is dead, but you are not dead." Ding Xie nodded in understanding. He immediately said goodbye to Chen Wangxian and rushed to the exchange. Li Qing also received news that Ding Xie was looking for Chen Wangxian, and he immediately knew that the legendary node was coming. "Haha, sell all the stocks we collected earlier," Li Qing said to the stockbroker. Zhang Qiandan, Zhang Dongxiu, and even Crow beside him looked at him in surprise. Recently, several people have made a lot of money following Li Cheng. Seeing the stock market in Xiangjiang soaring, his boss actually said that he would throw away all the stocks in his hands. "Boss, are you crazy?" Crow stepped forward and touched Li Cheng's forehead. Others looked at him with envy. Among these younger brothers, only Crow and his elder brother spoke so casually. Li Cheng knocked off the crow's hand and said, "Mard, just throw it away if I tell you to. It's such nonsense. Hong Kong movies, I can see the loyalty value, I am not panicked at all." Author, Ban Wanqing Bulletin Liang. Chapter 127. At this time, Ding Hai hurried to the exchange and shouted to the 4 crabs of the Ding family, "Hurry up and sell all the stocks." The 4 crabs of the Ding family looked at him in surprise. "Dad, are you crazy? Selling all our stocks means we are bankrupt. Now we owe the bank 100 million. Ding Yihai also stepped forward to persuade, "Dad, don't be crazy, this is not horse racing, if we sell all, we will go to sleep on the street. What are you arguing about? Your dad doesn't know anything, doesn't understand anything, but wins by luck." After hearing this, the 4 crabs of the Ding family said nothing. Ding Xiaohai was silent for a while. "Listen to Dad, sell." "Brother, are you crazy? Sell slowly." Ding Xiaohai scratched his head. Now he can only believe in his father's luck. Ding Hai asked to use the money from selling stocks to buy futures, and Ding Xiaohai had to try his best and let him do whatever he wanted. Fang Zanbo on the other side smiled. He didn't plan to play anymore and wanted to buy all the stocks of Wuxi Group directly. "No, there is a stock tycoon who is increasing the volume." He looked at the Hang Seng index that kept jumping in front of the computer, and his heart tightened. The numbers jumped very frequently, and it was definitely a big tycoon behind the scenes who was secretly increasing the volume. He guessed correctly that it was Li Cheng and others who were selling all the stocks in their hands. The stocks in his hands alone were worth more than 2 billion. These were all earned by Li Cheng's foresight. 3975.0. 3980.0. It's going to explode. Li Cheng looked at the rising Hang Seng index and said softly. "Ah, brother, what is going to explode?" Crow asked curiously. Li Cheng pointed to the Hang Seng index that was rising wildly. Crow and others didn't understand, but they just knew that the higher the Hang Seng index, the more valuable the stocks. They all regretted secretly that they should have kept some stocks. Now they listened to their brother and sold them all, losing some money in vain. Sure enough, when the Hang Seng index reached 3995.0, it paused. Then the numbers jumped, 3990.0. Fall. The stockbroker stared at the Hang Seng index dully. Is it a technical adjustment? In fact, he just criticized Li Cheng in his heart for selling all the stocks before the stock price soared. This big man might have a grudge against money. 3895.0. 3880.0. The Hang Seng index fell wildly. At this time, people in the exchange kept fainting because they couldn't accept the stimulation. Until the stock market closed, the Hang Seng index fell directly by 420 points. At this time, Ding Hai was extremely excited. After selling the stocks, he invested all the money in the futures market and made a direct profit of 200 million yuan this time. The screams of Ding Hai and others were heard through the eavesdropping equipment. Zhang Qiandan and others couldn't help asking, "Brother, why didn't we invest in futures just now? That way we could earn more." Li Cheng smiled and shook his head. "All our money, if invested in futures, would only alert the enemy, not to mention that this is just a small amount of money." Zhang Qiandan and others were so surprised that they couldn't close their mouths. "That, brother, give me some small money." Crow rubbed his hands and smiled flatteringly. "Get lost." Okay, 4 days later is the critical moment, everyone go to rest, Li Qing said to several stock traders. Why 4 days later? Because the stock market crash caused the Hong Kong Stock Exchange to suspend trading for 4 days. It's over, it's all over. My millions have become waste paper, a bald middle-aged man cried and ran to the rooftop. This is my half-life savings, an aunt murmured, staggering and following the footsteps of the man in front. She was followed by many people, with numb eyes, one by one, like a bereaved, like zombies, walking towards the rooftop. On this day, the rooftop of the exchange was full of people, and they lined up to jump down. Even the coffins were sold out. 4 days later, it happened to be Monday, and the stock market resumed. Brother, do we still follow Ding Crab this time? Crow asked excitedly. Li Qing shook his head. He only knew that the next battle would be between Fang Zanbo and Ding's 5 crabs, and the largest size was only 2 billion. If he intervened, the other two parties would have no chance to play. All the funds are used to buy other stocks. Whichever stock has the lowest price will be bought, Li Qing said with a firm look in his eyes. The stock trader paused. Mr. Li, do you want to go long? Going long refers to long positions, also called bullish, which simply means buying up. Li Qing knew that the Hong Kong government would definitely rescue the market today. Sure enough, as Li Qing expected, almost all stocks were on the rise, except for the stocks of the 5 crabs group. When the Hong Kong government raised the stock price to a certain height, Li Qing decisively sold the stock and then shorted it. In this way, Li Qing rushed through the stock market and amassed a large amount of funds. Of course, most of these funds were used by the Hong Kong government to rescue the market. On the other hand, Ding Hai listened to Chen Wangxian's adding fuel to the fire and directly bankrupted Fang Zanbo and others, but they made 2 billion. 2 billion, how can you make 2 billion in one day? You can't spend it all in 8 lifetimes. It's scary, Ding Yuhei said excitedly. Ding Hai and Ding Xiaohei laughed wildly on the side, and the Ding family had fallen into madness. The entire exchange was filled with their laughter, and everyone looked at them with envy. The 5 crabs of the Ding family made a lot of money in the stock market thanks to the good fortune of Ding Hai, and of course Li Qing made more. The 5 crabs became more and more daring. From borrowing money from Hong Kong gangs to launder black money at the beginning, to instigating the American Skull and Bones Party, the Italian Mafia, and the Colombian drug lords to enter the stock market together. In a short period of time, they have become veritable stock market tycoons, even with more funds than some wealthy people. Mr. Li, please save my brother. It's still the same person, the same words. Li Qing looked at Fang Ting with tears in her eyes. What's wrong? It turned out that Luo Huiling did not live with Fang Ting in Li Qing's villa, but went out to live alone. The 4 crabs of the Ding family did not look for the Fang family because Ding Hai was not dead. But Ding Hai met Luo Huiling by chance and kept pestering her. In order to avenge Fang Jingxin, Luo Huiling pretended to accept Ding Hai's pursuit, but she was accidentally injured and killed by the police in the end. Ding Hai was also stabbed by Fang Zanbo, who rushed over and was admitted to the hospital. Now the 4 Ding family crabs have made it known that if Fang Zanbo walks out of the police station, they must kill him. Hong Kong movies, I can see the loyalty value, I am not panicked at all. Author, Ban Wanqing Buletin Liang. Chapter 128. Through Fang Ting's narration, Li Qing understood Fang Zanbo's current situation. After Fang Zanbo left the villa, he went to Taiwan alone and made a lot of money from stocks, but lost it all. Then he ran back to Xiangjiang in despair. Li Qing was silent for a moment, feeling that the time was almost up and Ding Xia's value had almost been squeezed out. Yeah, sure, Li Qing nodded. Zhang Dongxiu, who was standing aside, nodded and walked out. Thank you, Mr. Li. This time Li Qing agreed to help, which surprised Fang Ting. Because he begged Li Qing twice before, but he rejected him both times, and he had not seen him since he moved into the villa. If this boss doesn't care about his own body, what does he care about? Come on, give me a squeeze on your head. Li Qing's voice interrupted her thinking. When Fang Ting heard this, she didn't hesitate like other women and walked straight behind Li Qing. Let Li Qing lean on his chest comfortably and slowly massage his head. She has tasted the hardships of life since she was a child. Unlike the naive Fang Min and the simple Fang Fang, she knows that everything needs to be fought for. If you don't fight or grab, you can only become someone else's fish. She was still young when her father Fang Jingxin died. Sometimes she wonders, if her father had a personality like Li Qing, the Ding family would have been wiped out long ago. And he and others would not live in such a miserable state. Li Qing felt the roundness and softness of the woman behind him and squinted his eyes comfortably. He had already made arrangements for Fang Ting, and he would definitely accept her. Fang Ting received Li Qing's response and boldly pushed her chest forward. Don't worry, you are my woman. I know that you are familiar with finance, stock trading, etc. Please pay attention to your studies during this time. Li Qing touched Fang Ting's thigh through her pants. After hearing this, Fang Ting moved her hands, then massaged harder, feeling relaxed. Unconsciously, the clothes on her body disappeared one by one, and the sound of coquettish moans filled the room for 2 hours. Not far away from the police station, dozens of young men from the Zhongqing Club were squatting. His eyes glanced at the door of the police station from time to time, as if waiting for something. Brother Ming, doesn't that guy live in the police station? He's been waiting for 2 days, asked the slender little mule. I don't know, this time the eldest brother gave a death order and Fang Zanbo must be killed. The little boss shook his head. If you ask me, this person is quite reckless. I heard that he stabbed my eldest brother's father. Yes, I heard about it too. A group of younger brothers started chatting about the gossip about the Ding family. Hey, who asked you to squat here? You're blocking my view of the scenery, Crow said arrogantly. It turns out that Zhang Dongxiu's mission was intercepted by crows again. The two of them had gone crazy during this period, trying to gain a sense of presence in front of Li Qing like concubines competing for favor. The little leader of the Zhongqing Club heard the sound and looked up at the crow in shock. Where does the scenery of the police station come from? Are you looking at how to arrest people here? He was unconvinced and wanted to stand up and argue, you fool. Before he could finish his words, he was kicked in the face by the crow's 44-yard big foot. When the boy from the Zhongqing society saw someone coming to make trouble, he stood up without saying anything. Unfortunately, before he could stand firm, he was chopped down to the ground one by the younger brothers of the New World. The whole battle only lasted a few minutes, and before long none of the boys from the Zhongqing Club could stand. Fortunately, the place was hidden, otherwise the police officer would have seen it. Crow looked at the younger brothers behind him with dissatisfaction. One of the younger brothers was actually stabbed. I asked you to go to Fenyuxiu for further study. What did you learn? Did you rub your face? You are the worst class of boys I have ever had. The younger brothers unnaturally rubbed their faces, which were much thicker than before, and all of them lowered their heads in aggrievedness and said nothing. The main reason was that my eldest brother kept asking them to come out and kill people every 3 days, and he also practiced martial arts intermittently. Forget it, I learned something more or less. Crow shook his head. Nowadays, the younger brothers don't want to make progress, and they don't need to do it themselves. He took the lead and walked into the police station with his younger brother. Crow, I told you not to cause trouble. Believe it or not, I will arrest you. Of course the passing police officer knows about Crow, the Wolongfen next to Li Qing, the talker of the New World, right-hand man. Sir, I am a good law-abiding citizen. I didn't even see my little brother with him. Indeed, the guy had just been thrown to the side of the road. I'm here to pick you up, so don't block the way. Crow raised his head slightly and squinted at the note in front of him. Tiazi looked around and saw that there were indeed no dangerous items, so he said in a muffled voice, "Be careful." Crow looked at Tiazi's back with disdain and spat, "I'll give you two a nest." Although he didn't know what it meant, he often heard it from the boss Li Cheng. He guessed it was a curse word, so he often used it. Then he walked in with his younger brother. "Fang Zanbo, Fang Zanbo. My elder brother asked me to pick you up." Wu Yao didn't know Fang Zanbo and shouted in the police station. Fang Zanbo frowned and glanced at the crow, he didn't recognize it. "I am Fang Zanbo, who are you? Who is your boss?" Crow's eyes lit up when he heard the sound. He walked up to Fang Zanbo and looked him up and down. "Dark enough." After hearing this, Fang Zanbo felt a black line in his head. "My name is Crow, and my eldest brother is Li Cheng." Fang Zanbo looked at Crow seriously. He had known that there would be such a day. From the moment Fang Ting entered the villa last time, he had a hunch that Fang Ting and Li Cheng were already involved. But the death of Luo Huiling was a big blow to him. He realized that he could not deal with the 5 crabs of the Ding family alone. Mainly in Wanwan province, he was already entangled with Zhou Jishan, and he was not so averse to the gangs. Besides, the little Jew has now become Zhou Jishan's goddaughter. "Okay, let's go." Fang Zanbo picked up his coat and followed Crow and others out of the police station. "What? The people from New World took Fang Zanbo away?" Ding Xiaoxi asked in surprise. "Well, it was Crow, one of the most favored younger brothers around Li Cheng." Ding Yuxa nodded. Ding Xiaoxi fumbled with the ashtray on the table in his hand. Last time, he had a shadow on New World, and this time New World intervened again, which made him a little unsure. "Hey, we don't have enough power, but we have enough money." Ding Hai unbuttoned his suit and stood up, patting his chest and said, "We now have the funds of the Italian mafia, the American Skull Party, and the Colombian drug dealers behind us, and almost the entire Hong Kong community follows us to buy stocks. Do we need to be afraid of him?" The 4 crabs of the Ding family heard it. "Dad is right, so many families fighting against one, are you still afraid of not winning?" During this period, the Ding family was rampant in the stock market, madly harvesting the leaks of Hong Kong citizens. Even the several forces mentioned by Ding Hai have become rich. "Okay, I'll see what Li Cheng can use to fight us. I want to make New World bankrupt." Ding Xiaohe looked at the table viciously. He didn't believe that New World could fight so many forces. The 5 crabs of the Ding family stood up at the same time and held their hands together. "Let's fight him. We are no longer who we were before. Our family must not only have money, but also call the shots in the Hong Kong arena in the future." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Hong Kong movies, I can see the loyalty value, I am not panicked at all. Author, Ban Wanqing Buletin Liang. Chapter 129. Li Cheng looked at Fang Zanbo in front of him and threw a cigarette to him. "Have you thought it through?" Fang Zanbo glanced at Fang Ting standing behind Li Cheng. "If I haven't thought it through, will you let my sister go?" "Okay, we are all family, so don't talk about different things," Fang Ting said to Fang Zanbo. Ever since she decided to follow Li Cheng, Fang Ting did not hide her admiration for Li Cheng. She even spoke in favor of Li Cheng. "For you, I have fought against the financial resources of most of the Hong Kong societies." Li Cheng smiled and lit Fang Zanbo with a cigarette. If Fang Zanbo doesn't know what's good for him again this time, he will really bury him alive. Fang Zanbo's lips moved slightly, but he never said a word. "Since you have become a whore, don't set up a memorial archway. You don't think I don't know who Zhou Jishan is, do you?" Li Cheng said with a chuckle. He naturally knew something about Zhou Jishan. This old guy went to Taiwan province and made the Chaozhou gang very successful. he was indeed a famous figure in Hong Kong back then. Okay, I'll join the new world. Crow rubbed his hands excitedly. I'll ask Data to recite the gang rules. This time, a darker one came. Haha. Fang Zanbo's face was dark, and he didn't know what to say. Those who secretly form a brother's financial relationship and secretly help outsiders to rob the brother's financial relationship will be killed by 5 thunders. Those who seek personal gain and hurt their brothers. Data finally finished reading the gang rules, and Li Qing almost fell asleep. Data, make the gang rules shorter next time. You've been mumbling for almost half an hour. Crow said dissatisfiedly, wouldn't it be better to just say that you can't betray my boss? You talk too much nonsense. Let's sit down and talk, Li Qing said, looking at the entry above Fang Zanbo's head, loyalty value 60%. Fang Zanbo, tell me about your next plan. Fang Zanbo heard this and told Li Qing about the idea of setting up a securities company and sniping the 5 Crabs group in the stock market. Li Qing listened to Fang Zanbo's detailed plan and nodded. Since you are sure, then do it. The funds are ready. Li Qing planned to let Fang Zanbo operate all the funds earned in the stock market in the past period. Just 2 days later, New World Securities was established, marking the official entry of New World Group into the financial field. In the following days, the 5 Crabs Group and New World Securities fought back and forth in the stock market. With the ability of Fang Zanbo, New World Securities made a lot of money in the stock market. At the same time, the 5 Crabs Group became more rampant, relying on Ding Hai's luck to make their assets reach 20 billion. In addition to the funds invested by other forces, it is already far more than the funds of New World alone. However, Li Qing didn't seem to worry at all, and his life was very comfortable. Feeling Fang Ting's softness, Li Qing gently rubbed it, and the milky fragrance was fragrant. Why are you worried? Feeling the woman's absent-mindedness, he asked softly. The 5 Crabs group is getting stronger and stronger, I'm afraid. Li Qing flicked the cherry lightly, causing Fang Ting to tremble all over. What? Don't trust your man. After establishing New World Securities, Li Qing handed this business over to Fang Ting and Fang Zanbo. The two also tried their best to fight the 5 Crabs group on equal terms. Fang Ting glanced at Li Qing with a grudge. Why not just kill? Li Qing knew what Fang Ting meant, but Fang Ting didn't know Li Qing's plan. Of course, Li Qing didn't tell anyone about this plan. Don't worry, soon, they will go down to sell salted duck eggs soon. He gently patted Fang Ting's hips. Hurry up and have a baby. When it comes to babies, Li Qing feels a little depressed. Perhaps it's because his body functions too well. After working so hard for so long, the women's stomachs still don't move at all. This also makes him a little impatient. A huge family business cannot be without an heir. Brother, have you seen the news? Greece and Turkey have a dispute. Li Qing received a call from Fang Zanbo and stood up from his chair. Finally, it's time. Although there is a war in the Middle East in this world, it is completely different from the event line in the previous life. Li Qing didn't understand the note of the final stock market battle until Fang Zanbo called and reminded him. Dongxiu, take someone to Taiwan province and pay attention to protection. Li Qing whispered in Zhang Dongxiu's ear for a while. Zhang Dongxiu listened, nodded, and walked out. At this time, the Ding family also received the news that the stock market was volatile due to the Greek-Turkish dispute, and the family gathered together to discuss. Ding Hai laughed. You can only make a lot of money by natural disasters and man-made disasters. If you don't play, others will play. Obviously he was referring to New World Securities. Ding Lixi also laughed. I think what my father said is right. When the war breaks out, gold and oil prices will rise. We can make a fortune in the futures market. But at this time, Ding Hai no longer cares about that little money. Tisk why touch futures? The stock market will definitely collapse when the war breaks out. Just short sell and buy low. The current Ding family has unconditional trust in Ding Hai and nodded in agreement. Ding Hai looked at his son and waved his hand arrogantly. Okay, this time we will make a fortune in the stock market again. As for the New World securities, don't worry about it. On the other side, Fang Zanbo began to sharpen his knife with Li Qing's approval. He believed that the Ding family would not miss the opportunity to short the stock market this time. He thought it was time for revenge, and this stock market turmoil was the best time for him to kill Ding Hai. In this way, a war without gunpowder was carried out in the stock market. One group bought high and the other bought low, and the stock price fluctuated. Even ordinary stockholders could see that this was a game between stock market tycoons. As the Greek-Turkish dispute intensified, both sides began to deploy troops around Imia Island, and the war was imminent. Everyone knew that once the war started, the stocks in the Hong Kong stock market would fall sharply, and it was not only the Five Crabs group that started to buy low. Most ordinary stockholders found this to be a good opportunity to make money, and followed the short selling of the stock market. Haha, I'm going to get rich following Wuxi this time. I've been ripped off for so many years, and now I can finally get the wool of the big sharks. Yeah, I don't know which big shark is against Wuxi, I'm afraid I'll have to fight to the end this time. Do you still need to guess? It must be New World Securities. The two sides have been fighting in the stock market for half a year. Oh, it's a pity, boss Li Qing doesn't understand stocks. Yeah, Hong Kong finally has such a kind boss. Oh, I won't say anything, buy the dip quickly. At this time, Li Qing, Fang Ting, and Fang Zanbo were sitting in front of the computer desk, watching the stock situation. The situation was not as smooth as Fang Zanbo expected. With the participation of retail investors, it was getting more and more unfavorable for New World securities. Looking at the stocks that were desperately bought up but the increase was not large, Fang Ting was also a little anxious. Biting her lower lip gently, she said, "Brother Qing, why don't we just forget about it this time?" Li Qing was still calm and said with a smile, "Don't worry." Fang Zanbo was also very confident in himself at this time. He believed that as long as the war did not break out, he would not lose money if he went long. But as time went by, Fang Zanbo's face became worse and worse, because no matter how much he invested, it was like a stone sinking into the sea, and the stock market's downward trend could not be stopped. "Mr. Fang, we are running out of money. Hong Kong movies, I can see the loyalty value, I am not panicked at all." Author, Ban Wanqing Buletin Liang. Chapter 130. What? Nearly 30 billion, gone so quickly. Fang Zanbo's face was pale, and he asked the trader in disbelief. Seeing the trader nod, he staggered and sat on the chair. Then he looked at Li Qing next to him, and Li Qing said, "New World's other subsidiaries can't take out extra money for the time being." He expected the answer. "You have a good relationship with Zhou Jishan and Long Chengbang, you can borrow money to turn around." Li Qing gave him an idea. Fang Zanbo's eyes lit up and hurried out when he heard it. He believed in his judgment that the war would not start. In fact, Li Qing did not have no money. He did it on purpose. If he wanted to borrow money, he believed that Huo Dong and Lin Jiachen would lend it to him without hesitation. But his purpose was to force Fang Zanbo to borrow money from the two. After all, knowing the information in advance was his greatest wealth. The people of the Ding family opposite were ecstatic. Haha, let's see how they turn over this time. Although I can't do anything to Li Qing, I defeated him in the stock market. Ding Xiaoxi laughed crazily. He had known for a long time that his first love Fang Ting was with Li Qing, and he had been burning with jealousy these days. But he really couldn't do anything to Li Qing in reality. Li Qing's younger brothers were all loyal, and he couldn't buy them off even if he wanted to. "Keep shorting," Ding Hai also said with a smile, "this time I want to delist New World securities." "But, we don't have much money anymore." Ding Yuxa looked at the account. "What are you afraid of?" The black money of major societies and the funds of several foreign gangs are all here. Let's borrow them first. Ding Xiaoxi said frantically. But. Ding Lixi said hesitantly. Look, I said that the boss is most like me, daring to fight and rush. What are you afraid of? Ding Hai hugged Ding Xiaoxi and Ding Lixi and said. Then he invested all the funds on hand into the stock market, and immediately pushed the stock price lower. In a short period of time, New World Securities has lost nearly 20 billion. Even all the shareholders are thanking Li Qing, the wealth-spreading boy. I didn't expect there would be such a generous leader of a community. I'm rich, I'm rich. I want to eat abalone. The eyes of the stockholders in the entire exchange were red as they watched the stock price continue to fall. They have been speculating in stocks for so many years, and this is the first time they have followed the stock market tycoons to drink soup, which has made them crazy. The whole world knows that there will be a war, and it is a must-win game. Many people have begun to take out their family savings and invest in the stock market. At this time, Li Qing received an unexpected call. Mr. Huo. Li Qing, I heard that you have become a money-spending boy. Mr. Huo Dong's voice came from the other side. Haha, I didn't expect that as a side job. I was liked by so many people. Li Qing also joked to himself. Mr. Huo on the other side was silent for a while. Do you need financial support? Li Qing heard a trace of emotion in his eyes, and smiled. No, even if New World Securities collapsed, it would not shake the New World Group. Well, I know you have other plans. If you need anything, call me at any time. Mr. Huo Dong hung up the phone after he finished speaking. Li Qing had just put down his phone when it rang again. An hour later, Li Qing rubbed his ears. He received calls from Lin Fei, Lin Jiachen, De Di's wife, and his cheap father-in-law Lao He. Some were sincere, some were fake, and Li Qing thanked them all. Fang Ting, who was next to him, helped Li Qing rub his ears. She didn't quite understand Li Qing's operation. Li Qing didn't explain much, just waited for Fang Zanbo at ease. Not long after, Fang Zanbo ran in excitedly. Long Chengbang and Zhou Jishan from Wanwan province both regarded him as their son-in-law, and of course they were happy to help him. They had already agreed to help Fang Zanbo and temporarily lend him a large sum of money. With the two people's capital investment, the stock market became turbulent again. In 2 days, Wuxi and New World Securities continued to fight, and with the participation of many retail investors. The decline of New World Securities became more and more obvious, and even Long Chengbang and Zhou Jishan's money was slowly running out. Even Fang Zanbo began to doubt whether he was wrong. Only Li Qing was not worried at all, as if he had everything under control. However, Long Chengbang and Zhou Jishan from Taiwan province did not have such good self-control. Long Chengbang had a heart attack and was in the hospital. If Li Qing had not secretly sent someone to rescue him, he would have died at home. Zhou Jishan on the other side was almost assassinated by his younger brother because his younger brother thought that he had lost all his money in the stock market and might as well kill him and take away the remaining property. The calculation was very good, but in the end Zhou Jishan was rescued by Zhang Dongzhou and others. The stock market opened on Monday, and the 5 crabs of the Ding family walked into the stock exchange in a swagger. Fang Zanbo, you are dead this time. Greece and Turkey are going to go to war. You are an idiot to bet with me. Ding Xiaoxi pointed at Fang Zanbo and laughed. Do you think you can win with the new world behind you? I will also fight the new world. Ding Xiaoxi looked at Fang Zanbo and said viciously. If you dare to mention the name of our new world, I will kill you, you bastard. As soon as Wu Yao entered the stock exchange, he heard Ding Xiaoxi shouting. He didn't tolerate it and kicked him directly. Ding Xiaoxi flew out before he could react. At this time, Li Qing walked in with Fang Ting in his arms. When the other members of the Ding family saw Li Qing, their faces changed slightly, and they hurriedly helped Ding Xiaoxi up. Ding Xiaoxi saw Li Qing, then looked at Fang Ting beside him, and his teeth were about to break. If you look at me again, I'll dig out your eyes. Li Qing looked at Ding Xiaoxi coldly and said with disdain. Crow walked in front of Ding Xiaoxi, squatted down and slapped Ding Xiaoxi in the face. Look at you MLGB. Go home to see your mother. The loud voice made everyone in the exchange bow their heads silently. At this time, the opening bell rang, waking everyone up, and everyone focused their attention on the stock market. Everyone stared at the big screen intently. 9,045. 9,040. 9,030. Fall, one person shouted excitedly. Fall. Another person shouted in surprise. Soon, at the stock exchange, except for Li Qing and others, everyone excitedly shouted fall. The stockholders seemed to be in a trance, their faces flushed, shouting fall, at the top of their lungs. Several members of the Ding family also shouted fall, and looked at Li Qing and others next to them with pride from time to time. Fang Ting and others looked at Li Qing with pale faces, and Li Qing gently patted Fang Ting's hand. Don't worry. Brother, why don't I buy some of the decline? If you lose everything, I can still help you get your money back. Crow scratched his head and said. Get lost. Forget it, you are my brother, who else can I help if I don't help you? Help me buy 10,000 yuan of liters, Crow said to the stock trader.